Yes, sirree. Very good Sunday morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. Let us be thankful to be alive. Nice to have you. It is the 19th day of August. Yes, sirree. The year continues zipping on by, but one of the things we got to be thankful for this weekend is that take a look behind me, man. See the sunshine blasting in there, or the flooding we were expecting just simply did not materialize. Let us give thanks. And let us give thanks that we do have a roof over our heads. We do have a meal on the table. Yeah? Let us be thankful, friends. So, where do we go this morning? First of all, let me give you guys a tip off on where you can listen to and or watch today's program. It's on GRENADA Broadcast. Many of you are already there. Nice to have you. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. It's on TuneIn. It's on Radio Genre. It's on Radio Garden. You got 6 platforms this morning to listen to this and or watch it. And if by any chance you are not able to spend the entire 3 hours with us this morning, one, it's going to be up on Facebook shortly after the program ends. 2, a little later on, it's going to be up on the GrenadaBroadcast.com website. And hopefully before the end of the day, it will also be up on YouTube. So, hey, tell you, man, can't miss it. No excuses, no excuses. Let's take a look at the rundown and see what we've got cooking here this morning. As always, we shall launch, if you will, with this week's edition of The Buzz. In there this morning, I do have the Holy Scriptures for you. We do have Little Angel, and let me tell you, pilgrims, you know that Kofi Annan died yesterday. And this lady has paid, I guess you might want to call it a mini tribute, if you will, to the late Kofi Annan. And it is powerful. And you know, as you listen to that piece from Little Angel this morning, I want you to do some sort of comparison between what exists here in Grenada and what you're about to hear her talk about. There's some quotations from Kofi Annan that she included in her little piece this morning. Anyhow, we'll get to that in the buzz. And of course, we do have the results of the poll, which we had published last week. Now, true confession, George is always honest with you. He has not yet published a poll for this week. Am I forgiven, please? Pretty please? Yeah. No poll so far today. Then we get into our editorials. And this morning, 3 out of 4, not bad. The Grenada Advocate is captioned, Preparing Children for the Real World. The New Today is captioned, Congrats, Dwight. That's a piece there about Mr. Dwight Hosford, who will no longer be with us as our Solicitor General, is moving on to greener pastures. My description. And then the Grenadian Voice is captioned, Caught Off Guard by Bad Weather Again. That's your editorial rundown this morning. Like I said, 3 out of 4. You know who's missing in action. I don't have to tell you. Okay, you do the math. Then, as far as interviews are concerned, I don't know if we can actually describe this as an interview. It's not an interview. It was actually a discussion. There's been a lot, I mean a lot of brouhaha, a lot of talk about the recent CXC examinations and just how well our students did. And I'd like to take a moment, take my hat off, hat, hat, and congratulate those of you who were successful in the CXC examinations. But you know, there's an old saying that things aren't always what they seem to be. And this past Thursday evening, on last week's edition of McWe Chat, those of you who were listening, you obviously know what I'm talking about. It's up on the website just in case you missed it. You can go listen to it. But we had this discussion, which was a sort of an analysis, if you will, of the recent CXC results. The sort of stuff you don't hear coming from the authorities. And let me tell you, it was interesting. So interesting that I decided to pull that piece. It only runs about half an hour or so. And I thought, you know what? Sunday morning, since there's so much talk about the CXC results, let me share with our listeners and viewers another side of the story, if you will, another angle. So that's, I guess you're better off saying it's a feature. It's not an interview. It was actually a discussion. In that discussion, you'll hear Jerry George, who's a journalist, and Jerry was in St. Vincent. He's also the host of a television program which is aired regionally called Face the Facts. And those of you who are social media fanatics, I'm sure that you will have seen Jerry on the piece he does every morning, at least on weekdays, every morning. It's called Early in the Morning. Good stuff. Check him out. Facebook. I think it's Facebook, Jerry George. Yeah, something like that. All right. So he was on Thursday. Beverly Sinclair, who's also a journalist, and Beverly, by the way, is taking a bit of a hiatus. She's up in Jamaica now for a couple of days. Looking forward to having her back. I sure hope that when I take a look at where places where people are listening to us around the world this morning, I'll see KIN, that I know that she's with us. Margaret Francis, who's out there in the Big Apple. She's also a former journalist, and she resides in New York now. She was part of the team on Thursday. And so was our good friend, Catherine Edwards, who's out there in a place called Croydon. And Croydon is in England, right? I'm not sure if it's a suburb of London or what, but it's connected to London anyway. And of course, yours truly. So those are the voices you're going to hear when we do that piece this morning. The analysis, if you will, of the recent CXC results. All right. Then our main feature. For the past, it's about a month, we've been doing a sort of focus on Carnival, if you will. And, yeah, we've had this gentleman in here. He's been in here every Sunday for the past few weeks. Godfrey Augustin. He's a cultural analyst, if you will. He's a music promoter, big fanatic of Carnival, big supporter. Did a great program last week, man, where he made some suggestions, which I certainly hope that the authorities are listening to, because they just might take Carnival to the next level. So Godfrey's going to be with us this morning, and he's going to be joined by former band leader, and I guess you might also describe him as a cultural icon. I am referring to Ricardo Keynes Douglas. All right. So, pilgrims, yeah. These are the folks. You've got coming in here this morning. And well, the segment that we're going to do on the CXC, that was pre-recorded on Thursday evening. So we're going to run that by you in just a wee bit, okay? Should I or shouldn't I take a quick look here at the Rumble chat on Grenada Broadcast? I see Jackie's on there, Kipling, Peter Bishop, We Will Rise, Chester Simon, they're all there. Okay, let's see who's saying what. First of all, Jackie says, good morning, George, and good morning, all. Good morning, Jackie. It's always so short. Peter Bishop says, good morning, all, from an overcast Brooklyn, New York. Oh, that's where you are right now, eh, Pedro? Good to see you. And Anthea is out there in Decatur, in Georgia, and she's saying, good morning, George, and all. Happy Sunday to you too, girl. And then there's Kipling. Kipling says, good morning, Mr. Grant, Mr. Chester in class. God's blessings to all. Hearing the Prime Minister saying that his government is governing with transparency, accountability, and good governance gives me a bright idea. We definitely do need our own dictionary. Oh, Kipling, yes, we do need our own dictionary. We Will Rise has also chimed in. We Will Rise, you were kind of early this morning. Not complaining, we're just very happy to see you. And he or she, I'm not sure he or she, well, We Will Rise says, morning, good morning, and a lovely day to all. Okay? So, my dear friends, that is your rundown for today. And time's now moved on already to 12 and a half minutes after 9 o'clock, 12 and a half after 9. So let's take our first little break here, and we shall come on back right after this.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover household that's comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Conveniently located in the GRENADA Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granadas will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep,
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
All right, it's 15 minutes after the hour. Let's turn to this week's edition of The Buzz. And there we see that, hang on a sec, hang on, there we go. This reading's taken from the book of Corinthians, and it goes as follows. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness, and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? What harmony is there between Christ and Belial? Or what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? What agreement is there between the temple of God and idols? For we are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will live with them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Therefore, come out from them and be separate, says the Lord. Touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you. By the way, that reading comes from the second book of Corinthians, chapter 6, verses 14 to 17. Okay? Now, that takes care of your first scriptural reading today. I mentioned to you that little angel has made a contribution, and folks, I want you to really listen carefully to what this lady has to say this morning. It's captioned Kofi Annan, humanitarian and internationalist. It goes as follows. The world has lost a great statesman, humanitarian, leader, promoter of peace, supporter of human rights and the rule of law, and the passing of Kofi Annan, who died on August 18th, 2018. Kofi Annan was the first African to lead the United Nations. His legacy will be reflected in work at the UN, the humanitarian group called the Elders, and the Kofi Annan Foundation. His efforts to make this world a more peaceful place earned him the Nobel Peace Prize, to which he responded with a speech in 2001. Coming from a man who was humane and placed others first, Annan's 2001 speech offered much hope and encouragement to humanity. Those who are yet to understand and appreciate real human life and human living should not let these words go to waste, but use them as a guide to making life better for all. These were some of his words. Quote, we can love what we are without hating what and who we are not. Indeed, the lesson of the past century has been that where the dignity of the individual has been trampled or threatened, where citizens have not enjoyed the basic right to choose their government or the right to change it regularly, conflict has too often followed, with innocent civilians paying the price, and lives being cut short, and communities destroyed. The obstacles to democracy have little to do with culture or religion, and much more to do with the desire of those in power to maintain their position at any cost. People of all cultures value their freedom of choice and feel the need to have a say in decisions affecting their lives. When states undermine the rule of law and violate the rights of their individual citizens, they become a menace not only to their own people, but also to their neighbors, and indeed, the world. What we need today is governance, legitimate, democratic governance that allows each individual to flourish and each state to thrive. Kofi Annan was a true leader, a man of strength and virtue, and one who understood the greatness of the human being and the importance of preserving it. The world ought to be grateful for Kofi Annan and should do all in its power to promote his legacy of peace and humanity. May his soul rest in peace. Signed, Little Angel. Wow, 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 wow. You know, folks, Little Angel, I said to you on more than one occasion, thank you. And today I salute you for being a contributor who does his or her homework. You don't just babble on radio or TV or in the print media. When one considers the environment in which we here in Grenada live today, your contribution this morning is not only profound, but powerful. Thank you. That's going to take care of the feedback. Now let's move to the results of the poll, which we had online over the past week. The question was, can giving away free tickets to Spice Mass shows by the CCJ Advisory Committee be considered as vote buying for the upcoming referendum on the CCJ? Here's how you voted. You had two options. 11% of you said, nah, no big deal. But 89% of you weren't too happy. And you said, yeah, that could be considered vote buying. Alrighty. Let me take a look here on Facebook and see who they. I like this name. This person, I don't know who this character is, but this person showed up on MeckWe Chat on the weekend, last Thursday. Honorable Natty Dread. Whoever you are, Honorable Natty Dread, classic name. Says, good morning, George. Croydon is a part of Greater London. Well, thank you very much, Honorable Natty. See, now I know the things you learn here, man. I'll tell you, the last 13 years have been extremely educational for me, the stuff I learn here. Ryan Jaban on Facebook says, good morning, George and class, from sunny Orlando with a temperature of 82 degrees. Not too bad. And as you can see behind me here, we've got some sunshine coming in here this morning. Fitzroy Adams. Hello there, Fitzroy. Fitzroy is saying good morning from New York. Nesta, I can't pronounce the first. She has two last names, and I can't pronounce the first one. It's R-U-E-E-G-G. Huh. Let's just say Nesta Aberdeen. Nesta is in Zurich, in Switzerland, and she's saying good morning. And Ryan comes back here and he says, yep, Croydon, Surrey is my old hometown in the Greater London area. And he puts a lot of hearts up there. Must really love that place, don't you, Ryan? And then Cecilia Maria Flanders says, good morning, Grenada. Good morning to all the Flanders family in Grenada, especially from St. Andrew. Big love going out from London, England. Hey, big love, Maria. Nice to see you, Cecilia. And Ryan says, Miss Flanders, good morning. Heat wave in London. Fitzroy Adams comes back here and says, how are you doing with the payment of the tax? You're not giving me a heads up on that. This is something I'm very concerned about. I haven't got a clue who he's talking about. Fitzroy, you're going to have to explain. I don't know if we'll have time to deal with it, but Mickeman, I like this name too, Mickeman, M-I-C-K-E-M-A-N, or Mickman Alexander, saying good morning to everybody. So, folks, those are some of the folks there on Facebook this morning. And, of course, as always, very, very, very nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's now 26 after the hour. Let's take another little break, and we'll come back with our editorials.
Preparation is key to all we do, and when it comes to the hurricane season, it's also important to prepare and plan ahead. GRENADA is encouraging you to start preparing now. Have you and your family discussed an emergency evacuation plan? Do you have your emergency disaster kit ready with non-perishable food items, water, sanitation supplies, and important documents? Have you identified your nearest emergency shelter? The time to prepare is now. For more information, visit www.grenlec.com. Grenada Market has now introduced the prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmeg, Bourbonday, and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Well, Georgie Porgy is busy here multitasking, and let's get into the first of our editorials for this week. Here we go. The editorial which appeared in this past week's edition of Grenada Advocate is captioned, Preparing Children for the Real World. With carnival festivities completed, people are now looking towards the last few weeks of the summer and the start of the new school year later this month or next month. For children, these next few weeks will be a time to enjoy themselves and be entertained to the fullest before having to settle down to serious academic work. Still, summer can be a time for learning as well, not the standard English, mathematics, etc., but life's lessons, things that cannot be taught in school. There are a few teachers and other role models in the family and community who may undertake the responsibility of teaching children rudimentary skills relating to manners, etiquette, personal safety, and security, and even some social lessons which are not usually part of a school's curriculum. However, it is solely a parent's duty to ensure that his or her child learns life's lessons to prepare them for the real world with all its complexities. Unfortunately, not all parents fulfill their roles, and we are now faced with a generation of youths who simply grow up into adults instead of being raised to be men and women. The evidence is clear. How many times do we witness youngsters in this country on the roads skylarking with friends, or doing stunts on bikes with no care for the safety or that for their safety or that of other road users. How many times do we hear youth speaking in language too crass or filled with profanity to be even considered dialect, with no thought of a please, excuse me, thank you, or even consideration for if someone else is speaking? How many times have you witnessed young adults falter or get stumped at simple general knowledge and current affairs questions, like the names of political leaders, where they live, or important landmarks? Even understanding common processes like hire purchase, vehicle registration, international travel, etc., can cause great confusion for some of these kids. These areas, even if touched on in formal education, need to be honed in the home. Parents and guardians, it is your responsibility to raise your child, mold them into the men and women of tomorrow. Okay? Who will make a positive contribution to society and not be a burden on the state. And do not just tell them the things that they need to know. Show them through example. Let them see that it is not a case of do as I say but not as I do, or else these lessons may fall on deaf ears. On occasion, though, youngsters may still refuse to listen or do as they are told, and instead they rebel. How then can you show them the way? There are no guarantees in life, and so, despite one's better efforts, one's child may veer off the path you desire for them. However, failure is also a lifelong lesson, and parents should allow their children to experience their own failures on occasion, focusing instead on teaching them the skills to cope with and overcome their problems, while giving them the support they need. Teach them never to accept defeat and to always strive to achieve. And that's the editorial from the Grenada Advocate. Well, my dear friends, it's now 26 minutes away from 10 o'clock. A little later on this morning, we got good old Godfrey. I can't wait to hear what this guy has. Did you hear him bragging about Panorama last week? Whew. Yeah, he went off on a rant, let me tell you. So, Godfrey's going to be in a little later on. And before that, we've got the MeckWeChat team discussing the recent CXC examinations. But first, we still have two more editorials. Up next, the Grenadian Voice.
A message from Grenlick.
For convenience, bill payments can be made at Bill Express at Western Union. Many of these are open until 6 p.m., including Saturdays. A 24-hour check drop box is also available at Grenlick's customer care centers at Grand Anse and Bruce Street.
Grenlick, energizing our Grenada. Call us at 237 or visit grenlick.com.
He stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams. dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th anniversary diamond celebration. Take out or switch to our diamond anniversary mortgage with zero fees and a chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get our vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and a chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details.
Welcome home.
Multitasker number 1, Georgie Porgy. Folks, coming up next, the Grenadian voice. The editorial, which appears in this past week's edition of the Grenadian Voice, is captioned, "Caught off guard by bad weather again." The carnival is over, and it's back to the serious business of facing another hurricane season. But before we get into that, this newspaper would like to congratulate the winners in the various aspects of our August carnival celebrations. The festival had its usual share of peeves and gripes. However, some key observations were made that may help to build the product. Calypsonians are calling for a better judging system. Masqueraders called for more subvention to be paid in a timely manner. SMC must also take a look at the advertising of the different shows to see if what was applied this year really worked in promoting Carnival. The Children's Carnival Frolic, CCF, really suffered this year. The Junior Calypso Show, which was the highlight of CCF, must be put back into the spotlight as expressed by the Junior Calypso Queen, Heidi Charles, in her song, "Shame, Shame." Some attention is also needed to be placed on the SMC's website, keeping it current in a bid to avoid bothering the very busy workers at the office when one needs information. Spice Mass is certainly a work in progress. This year, the CEO felt unfairly attacked and bullied. He made it clear that he took orders from a board of directors. Well, maybe it was by accident that he kept saying "I" instead of "we" in interviews. Hence the reason comments were directed at him alone and not the team. However, it was good that he lightened up in the end and even promised to sing on Scholar next year. Now to the business of the weather. Firstly, we must thank God that the flood that was expected for Carnival was not meant to be. We must understand that a forecast is what is seen at that point in time. However, the weather can change in a split second. The rains of August 1st revealed the need to improve communication between the Met Office and NADMA to better inform the public. The evidence shows that Grenada was caught off guard again. It was so sad to see people climbing out of windows to get to safety. More than 60 landslides occurred in St. David, shifting houses, destroying crops, and sections of roads, causing the parishes of St. George and St. David to be declared emergency areas due to the widespread damage. A declaration is an emergency area, is given to an area where a disaster has occurred, giving government permission to use state resources to assist those affected in the designated area. According to the Met Office, the south of the island received 153.8 millimeters, or 6 inches, of rain, the highest recorded for the month of August since the Met Office began recording rainfall data. With cleanup operations well on the way in these two parishes, the general public is encouraged to jumpstart their disaster preparedness operations in their various homes and businesses, which will assist with response and mitigation against hazards such as the one we were affected by on Wednesday. Senator Winston Garraway, the minister in charge, blamed the Met Office for the communications failure. However, the average citizen may not understand the professional terms in the Met Office forecast, such as intertropical convection zones and upper-level troughs. Yet, it is essential that citizens understand the report in the event of impending danger associated with weather. It is the responsibility of NADMA to share the information with the public in terms that everyone understands. This is the second occasion in recent times when our readiness was tested. We recall the flash floods earlier this year on March 5th, the sea swells along the southern and western coasts. Also, heavy showers wreaked havoc in Grenada as motorists, pedestrians, and people living in low-lying areas struggled with the unexpected inclement weather in the dry season. The weather condition also caused the cruise ship Azura to cancel its visit to Port St. George. There is room for improvement on every front. People must stop indiscriminately dumping garbage in rivers, drains, and bushes. The rains of August 1st showed us how that garbage comes back to haunt us. A walk through River Road the following morning revealed many items that had been discarded in the river, such as building materials, buckets, pots, and clothes. These included white goods such as refrigerators and stoves, which could have been collected by the Solid Waste Management Authority. Yet, instead of calling the authority to request this free service, people chose to throw them into the river. Taking a look at the piles of garbage left behind by the debushing workers, one wonders why skips are not provided for quick operation, rather than leaving the heaps along the roadside. Some of these were washed back into the drains by the recent heavy rains. Environmental wardens were recently introduced. We look forward to success stories from that move. Following the floods in March, the Woodlands community informed the Ministry of Works and Physical Planning Division that the storm drain would be unable to accommodate the volume of water, and that as a result of changing the lowlands landscape to above bridge level, the main road would flood. The call from the community came via a billboard posted near the Woodlands Woburn Junction. Who, if anyone, has given property owners permission to dump soil in that area near a storm drain? That's another situation for the new environmental wardens. All corporate citizens must be on board, and workers should demand emergency plans. It may be a good idea for some business houses that supply essential services to identify the workers beforehand that are required to stay on the job. This calls for making sure that they can multitask from the simplest to the most intricate aspect of the jobs. Handbooks make life easier during a disaster. NADMA, we are calling on you to make yours a public document that can be referenced in times of need. We speak a lot about the effects of climate change. Let's prepare for it. That's the editorial from the Grenadian Voice. Alrighty, folks, it's 13 and a half minutes away from 10 o'clock.
Grenada Market has now introduced Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmed, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th anniversary diamond celebration. Take out or switch to our diamond anniversary mortgage with zero fees and the chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get on vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and the chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details.
Welcome home.
The editorial, which appeared in this past week's edition of New Today, is captioned, "Congrats, Dwight." The New Today is forced to adopt as its own 3 powerful words used by a former executive member of the ruling New National Party to describe the imminent departure of Attorney-at-Law Dwight Hosford from our shores to become the Attorney General of Anguilla. The words used were, quote, "great" and "our loss." It is great in the sense that another island has jumped to make use of the legal quality that Grenada is dilly-dallying with. And our loss in the sense that a fellow Caribbean island will benefit from Mr. Hosford's legal acumen, and not the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Mr. Hosford's decision to leave Grenada and work elsewhere must be seen against the backdrop of a particular situation in which it is often said that a king has no honor in his own country. As one Grenadian remarked, quote, "The Grenada environment prefers to appoint Larry Joseph, a retiree, before they appoint Dwight for the post of Attorney General. I'm happy for him, Hosford, that is. He is a very knowledgeable person. Unquote. The above statement is nothing but condemnation of the manner in which Prime Minister Dr. Mitchell has often treated the nation's bright and independent-minded young people with nothing but contempt for their academic brilliance. Another case in point is Dr. Brian Francis, a brilliant economist who was appointed to the post of Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance by P.M. Mitchell and introduced him to the then Cabinet of Ministers as, quote, a bright and shining star, unquote. Yet, Dr. Francis's tenure came to an abrupt end when he refused to go along with wrongdoing and illegality by facilitating millions of dollars from crooks in Europe through a scheme to wash money into the coffers of government. This newspaper is fully aware that the job of Solicitor General was not given to Mr. Hosford by P.M. Mitchell, but came about through the insistence of the other two powerful players within the NNP fold. Then Deputy Prime Minister Elvin Nimrod and Works Minister Gregory Bowen. The release from Anguilla indicated that Mr. Hosford was only selected for the post of AG after he emerged at the top of an international competition. The statement speaks volumes, as our local attorney at law was not handpicked, but came out on top of a competition which, according to sources in that part of the world, included 2 Queen's Counsels from England who also applied for the job. The message is clear. The authorities in Anguilla were prepared to look beyond the white-collar scheme and choose a black boy for the job. They demonstrated to the world, for the world to see, that there was no nepotism in the selection process for a new AG for their small British territory. But in Grenada, our Prime Minister is refusing to appoint Mr. Hosford, a young, brilliant legal mind, to the post of AG, and allowing the office to be occupied by someone who is not only a retiree, but is not highly considered in the legal arena by his own colleagues. Dr. Joseph has served on many occasions as AG with nothing of substance to show, but seems to be the go-to man when the PM is in crisis in the legal field. How can a country go forward and grow under this kind of dispensation? The New Today can also look back at the approach that was made by the Chief Justice of the OECS to attract Mr. Hosford's service as a judge on the court circuit as proof that he has something to offer in the legal field. Clearly, the Chief Justice made the move after looking at the quality of performance of Mr. Hosford in presenting his cases before High Court judges and the Justices of Appeal as Solicitor General of the country. This is more proof that this scholastic attorney at law in our midst was being recognized by the best legal brains in the OECS court. but is being treated with nothing but contempt and disdain by a Prime Minister who refuses to do business with anyone that he cannot control. This newspaper is aware of another local lawyer who wrote the Chief Justice offering his services to take up a judgeship in the OECS. But that was as far as the application went before the Chief Justice. Information circulating within the local court fraternity is that P.M. Mitchell is flirting with a certain Guyanese lawyer who might be offered the post of Attorney General to replace the aging Dr. Joseph. If the appointment comes through, it will speak volumes of Dr. Mitchell and his contempt for anything local that he cannot control and use, abuse, disregard, and discard at his own whims and fancies. The young people of this country should take careful note of the Dwight Hosford situation, since he is a young man who is brilliant in the field of law, but is treated with disdain by a Prime Minister who often boasts of his love for country and the young people of this land. It is our view that Dr. Mitchell will continue to keep the young people of Grenada in a dependence syndrome as a manis, with their hands always stretched out for the $800 subsistence allowance. This is where he wants to keep them in order to maintain his political control and stranglehold on them with the 5-year electoral cycle in mind. The truth is, Dr. Mitchell has nothing new to offer the country in terms of its true and total development after nearly 20 years at the helm. Under his continued leadership, it will be the same old thing to campaign throughout the next 5 years to win the elections in order to massage his legacy ego. That, Pilgrims, is the editorial which appeared in this past week's edition of New Today.
Located in the Grandin Shopping Center. For over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
Alright, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenada will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
From renewable energy programs to energy-efficient LED streetlights and electric cars, GRENADA is playing its part in increasing efficiency in electricity usage. Investing in new technologies to minimize costs, decrease our nation's dependency on fuel imports, and reduce pollution is just part of what makes GRENADA a good neighbor. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Alrighty, folks, 10 o'clock on the button. Yes, sirree, which means now it's time to turn to our first feature of the day. And this is where we are actually going to hear that MECWE chat discussion, which took place on Thursday night of last week. It's a sort of a post CXC assessment of the whole examination process. And I really think it's worth listening to, and that's why we're going to run that by you. Before I do, though, let's just see, joined by a few more people there on Facebook. Oswin Lewis is saying good morning, everyone. Coylan Nash. Hello, Coylan. And Kathleen Thomas is watching in Toronto. And Omi Francis. Hey, folks. Nice of you all to join us this morning. Wave. Thank you so much. So now, let us listen to that discussion and the voices of Jerry George, St. Vincent, Beverly Sinclair, Jamaica, Margaret Francis out there in the Big Apple, Catherine Edwards, London, and yours truly, right here in Grenada. Here goes.
First of all, we want to say congratulations and big kudos to those students who scored and hit the targets that they would have set for themselves. And you know, I have to put in a little plug for Knowledge Bowl in Grenada here. That's the secondary school's quiz competition. Right. Because as usual, we see the students who participated in that competition coming out in the top numbers for the CXC. So congrats. Sorry? So congrats. No, you just have to compliment and applaud good things when it happens, you know? So congratulations to all the students who made the mark and are feeling happy with the results. Special congratulations to the Knowledge Bowl students, because once again, it proves that that competition is achieving its goal. Now, I know that Jerry has some things to say about the CXC results. So I turn it over to him while we talk about the fact that some students are happy, but quite a few students are not so happy after these results came out.
The reporting on the results have made a bit in the sense that you hear 11,000 students got a pass in Muslim. But let's start by saying didn't get a pass in any subject. No, 0 passes. Okay.
Stop a minute, Jerry. Hold that thought. Let's just make one thing clear. It's not our business here on MECWE to do public relations or advertising for the CXC. But we have to make it clear that CXC does not have a pass or a fail. CXC has a grading system, and you get a grade according to the results returned from your exam. So when you do CXC, there is really no pass or no fail. You just get a grade. And the grading system is from 1 to 5. 1 being the higher, or the student who would have attained, you know, high marks in most of the areas, and 5. So it's like a competency thing, you know, so you get a 5 if your competence is deemed at a certain level, and a 1 if your competence is deemed at another level. That is the system of CXC. But since it was introduced, that has never been made clear, neither to students, teachers, nor the public.
But you just complicated the process when you're now saying that the 11,000 people got nothing at all.
They get no grade at all.
So you just complicated it as far as I'm concerned, not elucidated.
Well, exactly. Because if you got no grade in my mind, you failed.
You failed. Simple.
You know, now wasn't in O levels, wasn't there a U? You got a U, right? Which was ungraded.
Ungraded.
So I guess they didn't even get, well, I guess because they don't have a letter grade, they couldn't get a U. So what would that be, a 0 then?
Yeah,
a U would be the...
But the most was 0.
But ungraded, and anybody listening who can remember better or who knows better, could correct me if I'm wrong, ungraded would normally also cover if you were absent, wouldn't it? In the O level, A level system. You didn't get a
But
grade because you were absent.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
if you were
I'm not.
absent, you got an. It said that, didn't it? It was not graded. It said that. But if you wrote the exam and you didn't do it, it's ungraded.
It's
If I remember
ungraded,
correctly,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay. So if you were absent, you got a
Yeah.
different
If I
Yeah,
remember
because
correctly.
yeah, absence can be the same as an ungraded.
Mm,
It says yeah.
okay, good.
But just hold it. Just somebody just tell me
Yes.
that the police just shot some mentally ill man with a
Oh
family. So,
dear.
so I'm just trying to put that in. Anyway, um, let's put all of this in context, right? Before the exams, CXC said that only 20% of the people who are eligible or who should be writing the exam actually signed up for the exam. Are you with me?
Only what?
20%.
20,
20%.
20% of students who should have
Yes, who are
sat the
eligible to write
exam.
it, yes.
So
Signing up for
so
the exam.
so back up here. So you're telling me that theoretically somebody could go through high school because you're doing this at the end of your high school career, correct?
Mhm.
Right. So theoretically you can go through high school and not sit this exam.
It's not theoretical, it's
Mhm.
factual. That's the point.
And so then sitting the exam, I mean, I'm asking because I don't know,
Mhm.
and I'm asking based on what you're saying. So sitting the exam is optional then.
I would say because part of taking the exam is the ability to pay for the exam, to pay to
Mm-hmm.
register for the exam. And there are a lot of people who, when it comes to that point, struggle to find the money to register for the exam.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Did
And
they
they
ever
need,
say what was the reason for that low percentage
that's
of people?
that is the point. And again, the journalists will they never seem to have asked. All right. But I think now that the conversation has begun, we have to dig. We have to dig.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
out of that 20%, 13% are the ones who got zero.
So out of 20% who did it,
Mm-hmm.
13, 1 3.
13%, one three.
So
I'm
you're
reading
telling
the
me
data.
13% got zero. So of that 20%, only 7%. But this is absolutely crazy.
It
No, no.
is.
And that is, I say that to show you that when you read some of your papers, you hear like, oh, they did better than last year. And that's why you could lie with statistics easily. Because
Yeah.
if you just look at what is in front of you now, you might say fine. But when you look at it totally, let me see if I find the man's statement, because the registrar had some very strong language. And I'm saying to me, if the registrar is speaking like this, then we have a problem, a real, real problem. Because
Yeah, I mean,
listen to what the registrar said, that we are producing students who could neither work for themselves or for anybody else. Do you understand what that is saying? No, serious. Do you understand what that is saying? The
And for
man
that
said,
to come from the registrar, as far as I'm concerned, one of the administrators of this exam, that is more than an indictment.
it's an indictment.
it is.
A
It really
complete.
is.
I
And
don't think
it
that's.
calls for a deeper, a greater discussion. I mean, and it's unfortunate that somebody would make those statements and nobody followed up in terms of questioning them on it.
But
Again, because even with the journalists in the room, sometimes just wonder how they allow these people. Let me just read this for you. The registrar of the Barbados-based Caribbean Examination Council, Glenroy Cumberbatch, is expressing concern that the region is not preparing students to either work for themselves or to be gainfully employed. Listen, I read this lead paragraph and I was finished. I was totally finished
yeah,
in terms of what that is saying. So, because the next question needs to ask, so why are we educating these people? No, I'm serious.
but it is a serious question, a serious and a relevant question.
It is a frightening question because what we're saying, if we look, in fact, I spoke with one of the guys here who looks at the statistics and he kept saying to me, Jerry, I don't want to speak too much because he says anything I say, people take it politically. So he points me to where the data is. And the failure is so bad, and nobody is talking about it. The dropouts at school, and that's part of the reason why you get to this 20% who's writing. The dropout
Mhm.
level is scary.
And then the
And
cost.
exactly.
A
No,
lot
I
of
am
people
saying
just can't meet.
when we had the 11 plus, look at it this way, right? When they had the 11 plus exam and people came to the 11 plus exam and they couldn't make it, we at least kept them in school until a certain class and there was some kind of a makeup for them. But those students at that point in time knew they didn't have what it takes to make it, right?
So
Our
yeah, I
system,
mean, no. I was just so you're talking
no, go
about
ahead.
from the primary school level, right? So if
Yeah,
you
that's
failed
where my
that,
point.
then you went on and you did what was school leaving.
Right,
So that gave
exactly.
you so you would do. I mean, I'm just speaking from my time, right? That was before the change.
And that's
So
what I'm
then,
talking about, yeah.
right? So you get to standard five.
Hmm.
Then we didn't say so. You got to standard five, and you did common entrance exams there. If you didn't pass, then you had an additional 2 years because you got to do the school leaving exams. And depending on your grade, I mean, I don't know how it was in St. Vincent, but certainly in Grenada, if your scores were good enough after having done school leaving,
You
it
went to
was
Form
your
3,
second opportunity to get into high school.
to Form 3, in Form 3. You went in
Right,
Form
but you
3.
would start at Form 3. That's
Right,
correct.
exactly.
That's correct. But it was a
So,
second opportunity to get into high school.
perfect. We took away the
Mhm.
system and we come up with this thing about no student left behind. You know what is the biggest concern of our education system right now? Is that students cannot read.
Mhm.
That's the biggest. When I saw the data, I was like, for real? How can you have students who cannot read and expect them to pass? Because reading is the fundamental of, of education.
Mhm.
You have students getting right up to almost, let's say, Form 3, and they tell you they can't read.
Mhm. Thinking and reasoning. Let me tell you something. The system of education now is so different. I remember when I was in primary school, and we had this subject called comprehension. And, and I never forget one of the questions from one of the texts we were using in comprehension. We read a story, and then the question was asked, why did Mr. Jones have sunburn on his head? And as a child, I was totally confused because nothing you read in the story suggests mention sunburn or said anything of sunburn or even tell you what sunburn was as young children at that time. We don't even know what sunburn was. And and maybe that is why the thing stuck with me so because I was crazy about when I
Well, you
can't
know
answer
right away who
questions.
wrote that question.
Mm, exactly. Well, no, in retrospect, you can. And when the teacher explained, well, you read the story, you read that Mr. Jones had a bald head, and this is why he would have had sunburn on his head because what he was doing out in the sun and all of that. And that kind of analytical thinking and comprehension, that's not taught in schools anymore.
No, absolutely.
So they
And
Absolutely
don't.
not.
So you're telling me that? I mean, I'm asking because I've been out of the region for a while, and certainly in the education system. So you're telling me that comprehension is not taught anymore.
there's
Uh,
no subject that deals with comprehension, faculty.
But that is where you begin to develop your critical thinking skills.
Precisely.
exactly.
Precisely.
Exactly. And that is why I could remember that question from a small child because it stumped me. And after that, nobody could fool me about sunburn anymore.
Hmm.
And
But
in
it's also
addition to
open
that,
your eyes to how
literature
you
was also
understand
another
stuff.
subject that would help you to do that as
Mhm.
well. Because literature deals with a lot of themes, a lot of, you know, these things where you have to make inferences from stuff and everything else, So
Exactly.
But I see it all the
And
time on Facebook. I see stuff, and when I see people just constant, I'm sitting here thinking, they read the
Mhm.
same thing I read.
Exactly. That is always interesting.
But let me just
And
read, hold on, just let me read this little bit from the same CXC registrar, right? He says the percentage of those who entered is extremely small when we do our calculations from CXC. I didn't want nobody to say me say so. Out of the possible populations of persons to write exams at the end of secondary school, just over 20% actually get the opportunity to enter. And if just over 20% get the opportunity to enter, and 13% of those are not receiving subjects, any acceptable grades in the subject that they take, then that is just zero.
So,
Are you understand the level of this is I just find
so,
this scary.
so why are we sending our children to school? Why? Because we can't educate them to work for themselves or to work for others. 80% of who go through the school system do not write the exam. Those who write the exam are not getting acceptable grades. What? No, serious. What is happening?
It seems to, I don't know, it seems to me that there's a problem system wide. And I think the problem with us in the region, rather than looking at things in a holistic manner, we tend to pull this part out and say, well, there's something wrong with this part, so we need to fix this part. No, you have to look at this as a whole.
But when you said there, Margaret, there's no other way to check it. This is a systemic problem.
Yeah, it is.
Okay?
And, and it's a problem. It has grown and mushroomed over the years, and it's just been ignored by all the ministries of education across the
Yeah,
nation.
and the other thing I wonder, um who's holding whom accountable?
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Because to me, CFC is like an entity unto itself.
Exactly.
So, for example, um, I know of a particular school in Grenada. I had a friend who had a nephew going there. The child was growing up with her, and the only reason why that child was able to sit common entrance and pass common entrance this year is because the aunt herself was supplementing his teaching. Basically, she looked at whatever they were teaching in school and stuff. She ordered the books and stuff and did a whole lot of home teaching, because only to discover that the school had not adequately prepared these students for the exam. And my question to her was, well, who monitors these schools? Does anybody just come and fly by night and open a school and go ahead to teach children, and then anything goes after that? Who's inspecting them? How are you measuring them?
But Margaret, the difference in your situation in Grenada is this, is that Grenada has the largest number of private schools in the, well, as far as I know, in the region. All right, I looked at the data again yesterday.
Okay.
Most of the other countries do not have that level of private schools. In fact, in most of the other countries, the government has moved in, and basically overlooking the school, and in so many instances, they are supplementing the salary. But in the case of Grenada, the data I confirmed from yesterday, in case of Grenada, you have a significant number of private schools. No other island, no other country in the region I know have that level. And I think there's a good thing to that, unless it's not properly managed, but there's a good side to that. Because what I think has been happening with our education system in the region is that we have brought our education system down to the lowest common denominator. And so our brighter students have nowhere to go. They have to stay in that same mix and become frustrated. If you have a good private school, let it aim to take care of the smarter kids, the kids who have natural ability. That's what I think. We should put those together and give them a different kind of curriculum. But right now, we have everybody mixed up. I sat up with my daughter. At one point, I couldn't understand what was going on. Until very much later, you know what she said? She said, in school, when you're paired right, the kids laugh at you. She was the geek. So she had to dumb down herself. Because there was nowhere else to send her. She has to be in the same system. So she had to dumb down
George,
in order to
are you watching the program?
or say that because the other student not as
You know, the program is going fine this morning.
I was so shocked when she told me that. I was
Except that I'm listening to it on Facebook on my smartphone, Android.
we have a
And
system
every
that
once in a
is
while, I'm
one
hearing,
size fits
I'm not
all,
hearing it right now, but
and it's
there's a
not even
loud
fitting
whining. Listen to that.
It doesn't fit anybody.
anybody because there is nothing that is made for everybody, and that's the very
You hear
first thing
that?
I keep saying it. It's
Yeah.
like the democratization. I remember in some things there was some
But
student that wrote
no
letters in school,
buffering
and
what I
people
mean, this is
worked
going like clockwork
assiduously
pace.
to remove them from
And
those
hence the
positions.
reason I wanted
They
to call
also
in and reach
listen.
out.
The other thing that I noticed in the data I looked at, when
Yeah.
you look at of the
Okay,
number
but
of
check in and see
graduate
if you can
teachers,
figure out for me what
the
we can
numbers have been growing. So we have a lot of graduate
Okay, man,
teachers
take it easy.
by qualification, but yet the quality of education is falling. And let me tell you what is part of the problem there. These graduate teachers are doing their graduate work, and do not take this as a criticism. I'm just stating what the facts are. But they're doing their graduate works not in university. They're doing their graduate works through what are the university system?
The online system.
Yeah, right. So they are doing their graduate work, but at the same time teaching. And you
That's
understand where it's going? So what is happening oftentimes, I believe, because a couple of them have asked me questions, is that something gives. Something gives. Because to do a master's or something like that, you have to put in a certain amount of work. No, I'm saying they should. I'm just saying who manages how that is affecting the actual delivery of what they're doing. I don't know. I'm asking the question. But
Well,
it is weird that you have an increasing number of graduate teachers and yet the quality of the output is falling. Something making sense.
no, but we said it earlier. It's a systemic problem, and it's a problem in the system. A couple of points. Number one, the teachers in the system are not at liberty to craft curricula or to shape programs that suit the students that sit in front of them. They don't have the leeway to do that. And a lot of teachers get frustrated too because what they have to work with, they know it's not working, but they have no power to change it. And
well.
this,
I mean, I hear that argument, but I mean, I don't. You don't necessarily want to get to a system where everybody does whatever they want to. There must be a certain there must be a line which everybody should meet. You know what I mean? I mean, there must be some metrics where everybody is expected to be at that level at least. Obviously,
no,
we'll have
I,
people who will, because you don't want a situation like a wild west situation where everybody does whatever they want in terms
no,
of.
Margaret, when it comes to the education system, I don't have a problem with a goal being set that everybody has to
Mhm.
achieve. But you cannot tell me that everybody has to walk lockstep to get to that goal. Some people may swim better than they run. Some people may be able to hike better than they can do something else. So this is the goal. This is the attainable level at which you want students to leave a secondary school. But you cannot tell me that if everybody cannot walk lockstep, everybody cannot get an A. They should be graded based on attainability of that goal. How they get there is a totally different question. But take me and mathematics. I can work out a problem and come up with the correct answer. But if you give me a certain formula to work with, chances are I can't work with that formula. But I'm going to give you the correct answer. So, how are you going to tell me that my answer is not acceptable just because I didn't use the formula? And that is what happened with the students in the system. They are not, with the teachers I'm referring to now, they are not given the room to craft a program that can work for the students that sit in front of them and say, okay, my students can't work with this formula, or some of my students can't work with this formula. So we find another way to get there. CXC is telling them if you cannot walk lockstep, you're getting a low grade or you ain't getting no grade.
But let me tell you something. No, you mentioned that. Let me tell you something I learned. I remember when I was in school, I had all this happening about maths because in my mind, maths was about getting this right or wrong. Until I went to this priest who was very good at math. And he broke down and he says, it's not about right or wrong here. It's about understanding the process. And so he made sure that
Well, Godfrey's
you know,
supposed
he
to come.
taught me, he
Godfrey
made
and
sure that
Ricky is
there was
supposed to come
respect.
as well. Okay.
He says to me, and this was like a new revelation at the time. The right mark is one mark. The right answer is one mark. I remember even when I was at college, if I left home my calculator, I used to call the class number grade. And we talk about electronics now. You showed the working. And you didn't even write the answer, right? I still used to pass very well. Because we have too stuck on the question of the answer. And if the person doesn't have the answer, it's wrong.
Exactly. You
So
know,
Yeah, and
we were
I think Jerry touching on a point that's part of the problem that they have. We have a rote system, so we teach people to pass exams
exactly.
basically, and that's how it has always been. I mean, think about all the past papers that you studied when you were preparing for O levels. They threw them all at you, and you were supposed to study those questions because inevitably the questions rotated every X number of
they
years.
come back.
So you look at those questions and you learn the answers and you sit down and you write them and you pass the exam.
Hmm.
And that has been basically
And nobody cares if you learned anything.
No.
No, the system, let me not say nobody cares. The system doesn't care if you learned anything. As long as if they ask you, what are the two primary colors that make something? Tell me, Jerry. You know a lot about primary colors. Green
Green,
and yellow
yellow.
make green and yellow make orange, right?
All right, right.
Right. So if
No, no,
say
green and no, red and yellow make orange.
red and yellow make orange.
You
So
need to
if
teach
say
silver.
yes, so if say she asks you what are the two colors that make orange and they want red and yellow and you say yellow and red, guarantee that they're telling you you're wrong.
And that listen, I
Yes.
remember I remember my son came home one day with heart and was marked down like this. And I was livid, right? How could you mark heart down at 30? This was his interpretation of what is put in front of
Art
him.
is an interpretation, of course.
Absolutely. And me being something of an artist myself thought what he had was great. But the teacher clearly didn't he didn't do what the teacher wanted his mark to be.
So he
And
got a
I'm
low
saying
grade.
if this is the level at which even art comes in, God help
Hmm.
you when you get to those things where
Yes.
like maths and physics and stuff, it has to be precise. You're
Hmm.
dead.
Everything. So that was one of my points that the teachers within the system do not have the flexibility to craft programs that work for their students because they are locked into this system of teaching that they have to work with. And my second question is no child left behind. That's the education revolution mantra. What's going to happen to
Hey,
these
hey, hey,
11?
stop.
What's going to happen to these 11,000 students that didn't get agreed?
That's the question. That's the question. And you understand how this. Oh, I started to make a point in the earlier days. So when you got to 11 plus and you didn't make it, there was some kind of way you could have some kind of remedial action, as you say. You
There
go
was
down,
remedial
right?
action.
Because you go down to, what do you call it, Margaret? School leaving, right? You go down to school
yeah, you
leaving.
went to school leaving, yeah.
People understood. The teachers were able to coax the children. They had a better sense of where their weaknesses were. In the current system, right? This
There
is
is
sudden death.
nothing.
This is sudden death.
Hmm. Because number one, the system is academic and students don't all learn the same way. It has nothing to do with bright and dunce.
Absolutely nothing.
People just don't learn the same way. That's the first thing. And number two, you used to have a system where you had these secondary schools, well, not secondary in the sense where it is used now, but you had these junior primary schools, you had grades 9 to 12, you had this, all of these built in to work with children who didn't make the first academic cut. you know. But now all of those have been cut out with this so-called education revolution. Somebody determined that all children are supposed to learn the same way and walk lockstep from grade form one to form five to regurgitate something in a book because it's not learning.
Listen, from the time we move to this new system, right? And by the way, we have patented in St. Vincent education revolution. It's not to be used widely. Okay, so you just let me get that straight first. That is our patented approach to this. And
you
it's
all,
good.
you all revolute.
Yeah, we revolute. But the thing is, when we started this whole new system where we're going to push everybody through, nobody did any remedial checks on these children that we were now going to push through. And so the system has just compounded, it's a compound interest, has compounded the fault right through. No, now that we have gotten here, what are we going to do?
Exactly.
But let me ask you a question. So you're saying that so they do like, is there a common entrance equivalent that they do?
Yeah, it's called
Right,
CPEA.
right. So what happens if somebody fails?
But that's the point. There's no
So
fail.
if somebody fails it, whether they pass or fail, they still go on to high school.
Yes. They just choose the school. The only thing that happens is they lose the choice. The premier schools
The
are
Right.
studious
given to
students.
right are given to the top students.
Okay, okay.
The rest go. But there is no, you know, from the time that they pass the exam that they are not the top cut. But you send them to these schools which already have a stigma, but the curriculum in those schools is not geared to helping them to fix the problems
It's the
that they
same.
have.
It's the same curriculum as in the other
That they do
school.
with everybody else.
It's the same.
Oh my God, we have
They
to
don't, they don't
just.
have a different school. And the other thing that has happened now is that there is emphasis, so much emphasis on the academic side of things.
Too much emphasis, and that's the problem.
Everything else gets kicked out. Because the CPA, which the primary school students have to do, is supposed to be a 2-year project, you know, where they do all these skills and all, something similar to SBA, really. You know, they do all these projects and everything during, and that is supposed to be 40% of their grade. And then for the next year now, they would do the academic stuff, and that is 60% of the grade. But all the emphasis is placed on that 60%. You don't see anybody at the end of the first year with a grading system jumping up and say, this student get 40% and that one get 35 and no top 10 and no top 5 and no nothing like that. That is ignored. But the moment the written test comes up, all the excitement begins about who pass and who fail and top 10 and top 20 and top 50. So what is the purpose of this exercise, which you say makes up 40% of the grade? As far as I'm concerned, it's pointless. It has no use.
And you know something? I think that the students' opportunity to learn lies right there. But let me tell you one of the reasons why they changed it from the SPS they had. Because a lot of parents did the SPS for their children. I used to watch it happen, and know what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Right? So anyhow you put it, there's so many hands in this that have made the mess that is in, that we need to step back and have a serious talk with ourselves. If we're not going to lose, well, I suspect we have lost a generation already, but we have to find a way to redeem them.
We miss our break time, you know, so we better take it now and
Unfortunately, the March Gras wasn't able to do it.
Oh no, the March Gras was ridiculous.
Soca Monarch has been able to hold its own. I don't know much about the Queen Show, but max they could only have generated about 1,500 persons because they were at the Spice Basket. So you really can't go beyond that. So all that being said, when you consider experts and everything, I cannot see how you can generate $40 million from Carnival with the present product that we have.
Okay.
Now I do believe it can be generated, but it has to be done differently.
All right, Godfrey and Randall, somebody else sort of snuck in a couple of minutes ago. See the people looking at him on Facebook right now. You can smile, Mr. Yeah, you're on Facebook. I would like you to say good morning. Godfrey and Randall, we have a heck of a lot to talk about.
Oh, yes,
you have more than an hour to do it. Good morning, Mr. Keynes Douglas. How are you, sir?
Good morning, George, and your viewers, and Randall, and the big man here. How you doing?
I mean, I feel so honored, like a little pipsqueak here this morning, sitting in the presence of all these dignitaries. I mean, you know, come on, cultural icons, if you will. Huh? Here I am. So let's hear your initial assessment of Carnival. Did you do a lot of partying?
Me, no, I didn't do. Well, this is the first year I didn't bring out a band, so that's the first year I really got the opportunity to enjoy, go to soca, go to Pan, go to the March Gras, because most times I'm in a mass camp making costumes. So this year I decided I'll try to do everything, and I almost died because soca I left there like what, for 5 o'clock in the morning. The March Gras I left there about 5 o'clock in the morning, and so the next day I'm gone. I can't do a thing, you know. But overall, I would think the Carnival was successful on one level. The shows, as Godfrey was saying, you know, they were successful to the ones he talked about. Pan has got a good start now. People really supported Pan, so now it's up to them to take it from this level and upwards. And they as I've said before, those shows have to be produced. And this is a great opportunity now for Pan to start from scratch again, because they got a good base.
You talk about the shows needing to be produced. I'm sitting here listening to these guys telling me this thing went on to 6 o'clock the next morning. And Ricky, please bear with me, but you know the first thought that came to mind?
Yeah.
Where the heck was Ricky Keynes Douglas? No, seriously, because that's what you do best. You make sure these things run.
Yeah, and I'm amazed because I look at the shows and I'm going, oh my God! I mean, you know, taking like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock to crown a Carnival Queen, or you know, the March Gras show. It's absolutely ridiculous, but that's how life is.
And it goes on year after year.
It goes on year after year, and that's why I said to you last year, I'm not coming back and talk about anything after Carnival.
Yes. Gentlemen, he did.
I did say that because it's same old, you know.
Yeah.
The days bands are still starting at 3 o'clock in the day. Makes no sense.
Ridiculous.
Makes absolutely no sense. Either they start at 12 o'clock, cut subvention, cut everything. I don't know. Just got to find some way. People, when they go to Trinidad, they get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And they're on the road.
7 o'clock, they're on the road.
7 o'clock, they're on the road. Why do we have the fridge sun? You can't want to play Mars and Freight powder. That's what they say. Too hot. You can't do that, you know. So that has to be, something has to be done, because by the time the last band comes around the Carnival, it's 6 o'clock. It's dark. So it becomes a jam now. So all the beauty of the Carnival is gone. Secondly, quickly, the costumes. I mean, where's the creativity? I'm sorry, they're beautiful feathers, beautiful bikinis, beautiful beads, beautiful bodies up and down. You know, but when you talk about creativity, every band looks the same. So we are becoming everything is the same now. Everything is just organic. All the carnivals within the whole region, they all look like feathers and beads, like a walk-in fowl farm. Just with pretty colors and beads. Seriously, you know.
Well, a peacock farm, perhaps.
Exactly. And I say, if all those bands get together, right, and you call all the band leaders and say, how many members you had in your band? 100? Okay, just take 100. Because all of them look the same. So it's not to say they have room, you have space, you have, palm trees. You can say, okay, all those palm trees belong to my band. All the Romans belong to my band. But all the costumes look the same. So what's happening now? The people that are coming to Grenada, they're coming to have a good time. They're not interested in culture. But you have to give them the culture. They have to fall into what you give them. So as far as they're concerned now, it's a party on the street. And it has become a promoter's carnival. the promoters are controlling Carnival. And I still have the belief, I don't know if people are going to get upset with me, but I still think certain shows should not clash with the national shows. People say, oh, people need a choice, But I just think our national events suffer with the promoter stuff, no matter if it started at 1 o'clock in the morning. Just my view. But overall, it's a safe carnival. The police did a fantastic job, as you guys were saying, which is really, really true. But I just have a problem with the culture because I think it's within the next 2-3 years it's going to be gone. Carnival is just going to be feathers on the street.
Even though things perked up this year?
Perked up with
a lot of kudos coming about
the iron bras and what perked up what?
Iron bras.
That's the only thing I really, I mean, not that, you're walking around there absolutely nude. I mean, I'm not a prude. I mean, I love to see a nice body and stuff. But I'm talking about the creativity. You just see one band, you see all the bands. All you see are just different color feathers. So if that's where Grenada is going, we have lost it. So the next 2-3 years, it's just going to be like St. Lucia, it's going to be like Barbados, it's going to be like Trinidad. They all have just feathered costumes.
Okay, now one of the things that was mentioned is the late finish for Soca Monarch. But did you guys notice what time Monday Night Mass ended? 3 o'clock in the morning?
3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock?
Yeah. Jab ended at 11 o'clock. People are still on the street at 11 o'clock in the morning.
What? That Tuesday?
No, not Tuesday. Yeah. That jab. Went to the Tuesday.
Let me hear you about this, Godfrey and Randall, about this 3 o'clock finish for.
Yeah, but
and
George,
go ahead.
Last week when we spoke, I said to you, look, this Monday Night Mass thing, I gave you my opinion on how I think this thing should go. You see, if it happens on Tuesday, I have no problem with that, because it's the last lap. So you could go.
Well, other idea for the Tuesdays, but anyway, go ahead.
Look, personally, as I said before, and I heard the same thing after we spoke, George. I heard another, prominent radio announcer echoing the same sentiments. Monday Night Mass should be our last lap on Tuesday night.
Yes, you did say that. Yes.
I believe that. Monday, as Ricky said, Mass starts too late. Allow the bands to parade. They could parade until 8 o'clock in the night. There's no problem there. But that time you can go home and get a good rest. And you come back for Tuesday all pumped up. Because all Juve going back to the parishes. This Tuesday morning Juve thing ain't working with me at all. Yeah, it has Monday morning is for Juve. Let it happen. St. David, St. Patrick, wherever. I have no problem there. You can have your Juve. But one, keep it there. Reduce the congestion in the city so that the mass bands can have enough time to parade. If you have mass, people are going to come out. If it goes back to the parishes and the villages, people are going to benefit. Because you won't have all these people coming into St. George's. They're going to enjoy mass. They might be more inclined to play. Because people feel comfortable in their own little zones. Huh? If you have persons from a village playing, people from that village are more inclined to be part of it. Because these are people that are comfortable, people they know, they can relate to. So, Monday Night Mass finishing 3 o'clock on Tuesday, or Monday Night Mass finishing Tuesday. Well, 11 something.
Yeah, I mean
that's ridiculous.
And I was sitting waiting for it.
Yeah, it's making sense.
And you see, all of that helps in no mass happening on Tuesday. You drive through St. George's on a Tuesday morning, and there is absolutely nothing. All you see is tar in the road from Juve morning. That's all, nothing.
But Godfrey, what if, and Ricky, what if you do your Juve on Monday and allow the village bands, the village pretty mass to do the displays and the parade in the village on Monday, and everybody comes to town on Tuesday. You start in the morning, about 10 o'clock, and you parade through the street. That way you could get a good pageant You know, everybody, because there's nothing happening on Tuesday
But you see,
morning.
but that's the point, Randall. And unless we get rid of the Tuesday morning Juve, that will not happen because everybody goes to Tuesday morning Juve in St. Therese or in St. David, and nothing happens in Georgia.
Well, that's the point. So I'm saying, then do your village Juve on a Monday. I agree with you totally, and let the pretty mass go out in the community on Monday. You want to see it, you want to go into St. Mark's this time or wherever, you go and you see it there. But Tuesday, everybody comes to town. Now, my idea for our last lap was, when they had envisaged the Monday night mass band, the Monday night mass, it was to bring the pans out on the road.
Right,
Remember, the pans were supposed to be the ones that will get the job, so to speak, for the Monday night mass, because they wanted that. What if we do, in the same villages on Tuesday, the pans come out, whatever is the community pan will come out, probably 5 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, and you do your last lap with the pan, and you might be finished by 10 o'clock, and everybody's home and they could wake up and get to work for Wednesday morning. What I'm saying is that it needs a rethink. We need to be able to find a way to maximize the spectator experience, the player experience and the spectator experience, and to reintroduce the steel band in a very positive way. Reintegrate it into the mass, because they need that kind of exposure to how we need to be. It's 700 young people playing pan.
Yeah, no, Randall, I agree with you. There's only one other problem, and you see, we need to look at it because there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. I mean, hey, pan on the road, I'll be the first to put my two hands up in the air. However, we have to consider the difficulty in doing that. We have bands now that are almost 175 persons. To get now, unless you're probably referring to a section of the band, but to bring a steel band on the road is going to cost. Remember, you have to move these bands, so there's a lot of work involved. In some cases, they have to get trucks to transport them, depending on where you have to go.
And we have to amplify them and so on.
Right.
But you have
So
to get
there's
creative.
So my point is, there's a lot of work to be done. There's work to be done, but we can probably look at the possibility of having smaller band sides. It doesn't have to be the entire. It doesn't have to be the entire band. But if we get sections of the band that we can move easily, that can work.
Play outsides and so on.
That can
So
work
they can
fantastic.
amplify and so on.
Yeah. Now you can also get them to go around the village. If you get a truck, because a small side, you get a truck, you load them, they move to different villages, and they give at least a half an hour or hour. It can work. To me, one of the biggest problems we're faced with is that mass has completely moved away from the villages, and everything is centered around Jab in St. George's. And on Tuesday, the Jab moved to St. Therese, and they moved to St. David. And if this is what Spice Mass has come to, Flying Turkey won't be happy at all. Because he was the one who coined that phrase that everybody has jumped on. And I mean, this is what we've come down to, just jab. And I have no problem with jab, I played jab once,
It's just part of carnival jab.
I played jab once. However, it wasn't that kind of jab. It was a real jab that we used to call yay. I don't know if, I mean, all the tongue fellas know about that.
We know jab in tongue.
Right. We used to call them yay. I mean, and the king of the jab used to be red and black. Half of him was painted in black, the other half painted in red. That's how you identify the king jab. He was the captain of the band, So it was a real thing, and we need to get these things back into the village. Unless we do that,
it's a party on the street. It's not about the jab. It's just
you just get some oil on you.
But I just think I was saying that I just think there should be one juve. You can have the juve in every parish, one juve. It should not be Juve in July, Juve in June.
That's another thing, Ricky.
You can't have Christmas in November.
That's another thing. That's I don't get it. Let me tell you something. You drive around Grenada, and you can know when it's gonna happen. Anytime you see the launch carnival, drive around Grenada, and you're gonna see some little lots of land just get cleared, and nothing happening. That's all. They just cut it. They just cut the grass.
Waiting for the job.
And that is for Juve. And I have a serious problem with that.
It happened all up wrong.
But was the police? What happened to the police?
Permission.
Well, you're right because the police is organized. They organized one last time in I don't understand this.
Yeah, the whole tradition is the build-up of Juve, which is first daylight. You know, and that's the whole tradition.
You see,
of Juve.
let me tell you, people have to realize that these things interfere with the smooth flow of things. You can't be having jab all kind of funny time. Look, they fail to realize that there are persons who are going to work. People work at different times in different places and all. And when you do these things, you stop the progress.
And some Sundays too.
You can't keep moving around. You understand?
Not unemployment. Godfrey and people have to jump up and enjoy themselves for carnival.
Well, I understand that they can't sit down, but you have to keep moving. You have to keep moving. You can't just you can't mess up the thing. You know,
But something
look,
has to be done
let me give you an example.
seriously.
Yesterday afternoon, I'm going to work for 1:30. When I get to Locust Street there to turn in onto Observatory Road, there's a sign there, road closed. Well, I'm going to work, so I know I'm just cutting off and go up there. There is this huge piece of equipment right in that junction there, apparently doing some work for Mr. St. John, breaking down his wall. And there's a gentleman coming down and he says, you have to go back. I say, well, it ever occurred to you that there are persons working in that building right there? So you're vexed? I said, no, I'm not vexed. I'm going to work. That's all. I said, I'm going to work. So I just need him to just move his thing so I could just pass and go to work. And the guy is pulling down his stones and is like, well, he couldn't care anything. But you have responsible, you see, that's a problem I have. You have responsible persons. You cannot be doing your own private work and depriving persons from going to their jobs. It is wrong. And when you talk about these things, some of these people, they get angry because they feel they are top dogs in society. And I have a problem with that. I have a serious problem with that. We all have a stake here. We all have our jobs. If you feel you retire and you make enough money and you have a big house and you could do what you want, you dare not block the public road. It does not belong to you. And if people are passing and need to get to job, you need to stop your work and allow people to pass. It wouldn't take you 1 minute to do that.
But even so, Godfrey, shouldn't they, if you're going to be blocking the public road for something like that, you're supposed to have police permission. There's supposed to be at least a police officer or somebody directing the traffic there and making sure that these things happen.
But of course,
and give you notice, give the public notice that look, we'll be, this road will be blocked for a half an hour at such a time, so you know to operate.
But in a case where you do not have, like me, I didn't have another outlet. That's the only way. You need to work with me. We have to work together. All I'm asking is that you just stop your crane for 1 minute. I go to do my work. I'm on the job for 5 hours. You have enough time to do all your stuff. Don't want to play cocky with me when I'm going to do work. When I'm being productive, I ain't saying you. Well, you were being destructive because you was breaking down a wall. So that's not as far as I'm concerned. But I have a problem with things like that and people like that.
Symptomatic of what is taking place. You know what I mean? As we say in the carnival, it seems like the tail wagging the dog. The people are driving this thing, you know, and you trying to put some sort of control over it, and you're gonna and they've been allowed to do it for so long now, Godfrey, that we're going to be having a lot of problems in trying to limit it.
The horse is out of the stable already.
Yes.
It's going to be really, really tough to pull it back. It's like Wednesday after Carnival, they gave permission to a certain restaurant on the Carnage to have a fit or something. Wednesday after Carnival, at 12 o'clock, and you know the Carnage, I mean, still, I don't know the thing because it's the Carnage, it's not a residential area. It is still in a residential area. At 12 o'clock, the music was blasting.
12 midnight.
12 midnight. I called the police, I mentioned it to them. At 1:45, I taped it, I have it here on tape. I videotaped it from my house, which is like a mile away. I videotaped it, and I'm going to take it to them. At 1:45, I called the police again. And they said they'll go over and check it. At 2:45, this is coming from a restaurant on the Carnage. Now, who would give permission in the middle of the week, a day after Carnival? it's a working day. People have to get up in the morning. We have people who are sick in the area. We have old folks. And there's this music. And the MCs, I don't know what's wrong with these MCs on these trucks. I mean, they're
yeah, but you first have to understand what MC means. Eh? So
exactly.
then you get a clear understanding of why they behave the way they behave.
Yeah, you know. So, you know, I mean, at 2:45 in the morning, listen to the music. Go out and listen. Exactly, and it's a residential area. People, the rum runners, as much as I know people who run a rum runner. It comes in at 12 o'clock, blasting into a quiet, sleepy lagoon, little harbor. You know, I say you're partying 4 hours out there on the road. You're coming in, once you reach a hospital, you turn the music down. And you're coming into a sleepy harbor, but they come in, they're blasting, they're shouting, the MC, I mean, so this is the kind of stuff I'm saying that if the tail is wagging the head.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you go and ask permission for in the middle of the week to have a fete in a restaurant on the Carinaud with a big MC and a
some time ago, about 2 weeks ago. And I was asking, I said, look, but, you know, when these things happen, where are our police officers? Why aren't they enforcing the law? And the officer said to me, look, if you don't have a friend who is part of the hierarchy, you are not able to do your job. I said, thank you.
Wow.
Well, all right, gentlemen, I tell you what, there's somebody out there who listening to you guys and wants to chime in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hello. Hello, caller. We're not. Okay. Let's try this one. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. We're not getting that one either. All right. Okay, gentlemen, continue. Looks like the gremlins are at work this morning. We understand that there's some problems with the audio on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah. They continue. Anyhow, go ahead. You were saying, Ricky.
Well, no, you can't have, in order for persons to do their jobs effectively, if you have laws that needs to be enforced, and there are persons who are tasked with the responsibility of enforcing the law, and the authorities are not allowing them to do that, then we have a major problem on our hand.
What you see, and Godfrey, so we have to determine now where we are, what we want, and then you have to reach out to the elements who have been, kind of driving the thing in the communities or whatever, to come to some sort of common ground to make the thing happen. Because I don't think that you could bulldoze your way through and say, hey, this is it and what. We could sit down, talk to everybody, come to an amicable solution, something that is good for all, but recognizing that we have a responsibility to make sure that the product is, the product goes where you want it to go, and it is at the standard that you want it to be at. So we may have to empower some of the, and help some of the community groups that indeed do their thing and help, some of the communities to need a little revenue opportunities and so on. So we can't bulldoze our way through, but we have to work with them and try to make the thing what you want it to be. At the end of the day, we have to take the overarching look and see, this is what we have, this is not good, we have to make some changes and so on, and grab the community, bring them on board and let it happen. But we need a revisit. And I think in this, where we are now, there can't be any sacred cows. We have to look at everything and determine what is best for us in the circumstances and make the thing happen. So I take all that you're covering. And Godfrey, let me get back to the Mardi Gras. Lord, I almost cried this year. the Dimanche Gras is a shadow of itself. A shadow, a mere shadow, not any deep dark shadow, a mere shadow of what it is. And the potential is really there. We started talking, well, we're going to have to try to encourage some of the big guns of yesteryear to come back into competition or to come do something to attract the crowds back into the Dimanche Gras, because the Dimanche Gras is the precursor to Juve. This is where the thing used to be.
But you see, too, Randall, there's no hype on these shows. Everything is drowned out by the whites and the other shows on the radio. So there's no build up to the Dimanche Gras, the excitement of the Dimanche Gras. That should be just blasting on the radio. So so there's that excitement. Put two people together. He's coming back. She's coming back. It's going to be a great show. Nothing out like that. Sometimes they lump all shows together. On that day, don't forget, guys, to see Queen Show, to see this, to see that. So it becomes like a routine thing. So what I'm just saying, that these shows need to be focused, they need to be produced, they need to be specific, that this is what is coming, and it's a fantastic show. But I turn on the radio, and the promoter shows, they are on every second. And the national shows just get lost in it. They're secondary.
But look at it,
Lost in the noise.
Barbados Crop Over is advertised in Grenada. St. Lucia Festival is advertised in Grenada. Antigua Carnival is advertised in Grenada. Trinidad Carnival is advertised in Grenada. Grenada Carnival, you don't know when is the Dimanche Gras. You don't know when is Quinto. You probably don't even know who the contestants are. I recall the days where almost everywhere you walked in St. George's, you would
pictures
see
of the girls,
photos of the girls.
Yeah, I remember, yes,
and you see what this thing does,
Yeah.
You go, you watch the photos,
and you pick your
and you decide in your mind, you see,
I like
she go in that.
I remember that.
And let me tell you,
I like
and here is the controversy. Here's the controversy. When Quinto finished, if she ain't win, they thief. The point is, what it did, it pulled people out.
An excitement.
It pulled people out.
Yes.
And you need to do these things for our shows. Look, Panorama was able to hold its own. I sat in Panorama. Well, I didn't sit at all.
Yeah,
I stood in Panorama all night. And I was looking at some of the promoters. They were just pacing up and down. Pacing up and down. Hey, people might not like me saying that, but if I was in Panama, I'd keep Panama going until 5 o'clock in the morning.
You see, that's another thing. You see, a tradition is being lost again, because we working making the promoters control it. At the end of Panorama, the champions used to go on stage,
like everything else,
celebrate. That is part of the tradition. You cannot have champions winning and say, okay, time to go. We have another show coming. No. They cannot control our culture. Our culture and our traditions have to control what's happening within our country.
Totally.
So it's really, really hard, those young kids, and even all the big guys, the champions, when you win something. I remember they used to go on the stage and play again or something, or jump up and,
But that's the norm.
That's
One
the
day
norm.
the Calypso Monarch wins, he's expected to go on and
Exactly.
do a piece.
But now everything is
soca.
rushed because they have to go to a promoting show. And that's ridiculous.
All right, guys, I'll tell you what. Let's. I have to do some housekeeping, so if you don't mind, just give me a little time in here. First of all, MSF in New York says, George, check your Facebook audio. It's gone. Well, yeah, we know that. We had a wonderful hour and a half to start the program this morning from Facebook, and then suddenly things seem to have gone south. But life goes on. Then on the Rumble chat, Jabon says, makes good sense. Some points regarding Grenada Carnival. Benign Neglect says politicians kill the culture. The culture is dead. Just a shame to lie down. Benign Neglect goes on to say, again, the politicians and the police who are responsible for the death of our culture. Dean Knott says, it's been getting out of hand for years. The sound of the DJs on the Rum Runner shake my windows every time when they come in. Okay? He goes on to say, have to go back to the days where the sound systems on the Rum Runner are used and the DJs are not allowed to bring these powerful sound systems on the Rum Runner. Another note I had to endure the sound clash between two sound systems on Monday night. Well, Tuesday, Monday. Tuesday, Monday. I think I understand what he's saying. Okay, that's it on the box there. We are having some difficulty this morning as well with the telephone lines. So, caller, I'm terribly sorry. We're not going to be able to get you on. However, let me acknowledge the people around the world who are with us this morning. I see that they're in a place called Ilford in England, Montreal, Quebec, Virginia Beach in Virginia, Tottenham in England, Miami, Florida, Brooklyn, New York, Carshalton in England, Scarborough, Ontario, Brooklyn, New York, Toronto, Ontario, London, Ontario, Detroit, Michigan, Etobicoke, Ontario, Pigots in Antigua, Barbuda, Kennewick in Washington State, Huddersfield in England, Scarborough, Ontario, Dallas, Texas. I think I'm pronouncing this one correctly. Southall, that's in England. Southall. 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 Okay. Southall in England. Washington, D.C. Sanford, Florida. Toronto again. Scarborough, Ontario. Manchester in England. Virginia Beach in Virginia. Delray Beach in Florida, Scarborough, Ontario, Walthamstow in England, Fort Mitchell in Kentucky, Bowie in Maryland, Santa Maria, California. This one is in Switzerland, Miege, M-I-E-G-E, Miege. Hello, Miege, nice to have you. Charlotte, North Carolina, Sanford, Florida, Markham, Ontario, Tunapuna in Trinidad, Port of Spain in Trinidad, Montreal, Quebec, Jamaica, New York, Croydon in England, hello Croydon, Brooklyn again, Wembley in England, Brooklyn, New York, Toronto, Buffalo, New York, Midlothian, I haven't heard this, Midlothian, and this is in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
You know that place?
Well, I know of it. Yes.
You know of it? Okay. Can't be that bad. Randall knows about it. Washington, D.C., St. John's in Antigua, Roseau, Dominica, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Cambria Heights in New York, Manhattan, New York, Miami, Florida, Oshawa, Ontario, a whole bunch of people in Toronto this morning, Richmond Hill in Ontario, Etobicoke, Ontario, Deelsdorf, and that's in Switzerland, Streatham, I think, S-T-R-E-A-T-H-A-M in England. Streatham? Streatham.
You have to say with the British accent.
Streatham. Okay. Nice to have you folks on board with us this morning. Tell you what, it is now 11:21 and a half. We're going to take another little break, and we'll come right back with our guest.
From renewable energy programs to energy-efficient LED streetlights and electric cars, GRENADA is playing its part in increasing efficiency in electricity usage. Investing in new technologies to minimize costs, decrease our nation's dependency on fuel imports, and reduce pollution is just part of what makes GRENADA a good neighbor. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Grenada Market has now introduced Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmeg, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, 23 minutes after the hour. I see that we've been joined on Facebook by Justin Roberts, Coylan Nash, Maria Mitchell, Rachel John, Andrea St. Mitchell?
St. Bernard.
St. Bernard Mitchell, okay. STB Mitch,
Yes.
okay. John O'Kay and Prince Burlington. My guests this morning are Mr. Randall Robinson, who is sitting there with a blue polo shirt. He is joined on his left by Mr. Godfrey Augustin. And then this other character over here who Can't tell you what the heck color he's wearing, but anyhow, it's multicolored, and that's Ricardo Keynes Douglas. Continue, gentlemen. Who's going to take it up from here?
Well, let me say, George, we were talking of the Mardi Gras, and again where it is we need to go with that Mardi Gras. And George, you know, I've looked at what has become of our Calypsonians, Godfrey. I lived in Trinidad for 20 years. A Calypsonian in Trinidad, especially one who has has come to the national attention, you should see how these fellas are treated by the populace in Trinidad. These fellas are not ordinary individuals anymore. They represent the people raise them up, and they carry themselves in that way, that they are important. And the people make them know too that they are important. What has become, you know, we used to do the same thing to our Calypsonians here. What has become of that? We have kings just walking about the place.
Randall, let me just butt in, because you just, you know, coming with something there that, you know, led me to something I wanted to say. I'll give you one of the reasons. One of the reasons is the Mardi Gras night, Finley Jeffrey Scholar was crowned the Calypso Monarch 2018. And a news reporter from a well-established media organization goes to King Scholar and says to him, people are saying that Baraka won the crown, so would you give him back the crown?
Just over the air?
You know, that wasn't an interview. So now you understand why our kings and our Calypsonians are treated the way they are. First, let me tell you, and I have no apologies saying that, I congratulate young Baraka. I think he's a Calypsonian that is going to do extremely well in the future. However, I have looked at the performances and I'm yet to understand how is it that Scholar defeated Baraka by only 1 point. So I have a problem with that. And to top it off, a media reporter who is supposed to be experienced and who has worked in more than one media outlet before is going to go to the Calypso Monarch and ask such gobar.
Question.
You see, we don't have any respect for our artists, for the art form. Look what we have done and look where it has become. The Judges Association gone through, right? Things that should not be on the national stage are on the national stage, are given prominence by incompetent people who don't know what they're doing, right? So you have undermined the whole process. As a consequence, therefore, the people, the nationals looking on, saying, how this make it a thing? The whole system is compromised, and therefore the artists who have reached the pinnacle, they have no respect for it because they ain't sure how to get there, and they don't know what it is. So the whole thing has become politicized, and so Godfrey, we're in a sad state of affairs. Athletics and culture should not be politicized.
Let me tell you, if a reporter does not understand that I'm going to do an interview, I'm going to do an event which states very clearly that the judge's decision is final.
Exactly.
You're going to ask the Calypso Monarch that question? it was in such poor taste. I found
You
it
see,
rather
and it's-
insulting to the Calypso monarch.
Of course.
I mean, we've had a lot of questionable decisions in the past by judges, but you don't tell a Calypso monarch, or you don't ask him if he's going to give up the crown to someone else.
It says a lot about the interviewer too, huh?
But
The
exactly,
reporter, the way they think. That was very unprofessional.
I think
very
a
tactful.
reporter like that should be
Disciplined,
disciplined.
exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. But again, it's management again. That's if they even heard the interview. But that's tacky, man. That's anyway.
No, but we need to look. Urias Peter said to me once, and I always remember that. He said, our culture, the arts, is what is going to bring us together as a people. And the more I think about it, the more I think he's correct. But even so, inside of that, you still find elements that are trying to make its way through and try to divide and
Because it's not about culture, it's about me. That's the problem. They're not looking at the overall picture, and that's a problem we have. Everybody wants they think to be successful, so they don't care if Panorama fails. The most important thing is this is my thing. It's going to be successful, and the hell with other things, and that's how it happens. But you must work together. You have to.
You see, the product. The product is what we must look at. At the end of the day, destination too. You're coming to Grenada. We have this festival that we think can be the best.
And it can be.
And
yes.
it can be. I mean, it's safe, it's beautiful, it has so much potential. We have to find all the right elements. We have to cause the elements to work well together to make the thing happen. And, until we put our minds to that and that job, and there must be the political will. And when I say political will, the political will to leave it alone and let the professionals do what they are tasked to do.
Amen.
Let them do it. We cannot be undermining the process. We cannot be diminishing our artists for political on the altar of political whatever it is expediency. We cannot do it, because at the end of the day, we are damaging the very thing that we're trying to promote and to raise up. The March Gras is supposed to be the pinnacle show for the carnival, whether we like it or not. Our Calypsonians, the fellas who represent us and speak for us as a people, to the powers that be, you diminish them, you make them like nothing, you turn them into pariahs.
But you see, that's a problem, Randall, and it goes back to the point you made earlier. Political expediency. Now, if a Calypsonian goes out there and speak about what is happening there, depending on which side of the fence you on, you vex. That is the worst Calypso in the world. Now, if you're on the other side of the fence, it is the best Calypso in the world. So you see the problem? We're not going to accept the Calypso for what it's worth. And therein lies our problem. We are too polarized.
And they always tend to judge a messenger rather than the message.
Rather than the message.
That's the problem.
So that too, Ricky tells us about what we have to be doing in our schools and so on, about critical thinking and letting people understand what is that. Out of what comes out of the gentleman's mouth, is there a message that we must get? What is it? And as we talk about that, I know Ricky is here to talk about his thing. Well, let me segue into that, because I went to his play, Ricky, and I know we have a little time, but I could throw him in here. Ricky did something, Kidnap Love. Brilliant play. It speaks to so many societal issues. What are those messages that we get outside there? But let me tell you, it is very controversial. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I will tell you, if you know you're behaving bad in your marriage, best you leave your husband or your wife home. I think that you had to go one night for the men and one night for the women. So it was a bacchanality place. God free. But it is a brilliant.
Let me tell you,
brilliant
I
brilliant play.
I looked at the advertisement I looked at the advertisement, and when I looked at it, that key part of that advertisement, I was able to sit and think about it and figure it out. You see, and let me tell you something. In Calypso adjudicating, you talk about imagery.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
That's the hallmark of a good production.
Exactly.
You see one little thing, and you can sit down and analyze. Well, okay, well, what led to that? And when you get to that, what would that lead to? I mean,
but you see, we have people like Ricky. You remember we had this conversation, Godfrey, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, when we spoke about, when we talking arts, when we talking about the art form and so on, and the number of disciplines that one has to try to, I'm not saying that you have to be an expert at it, but you have to be able to relate in some kind of way, competent way to it, so that it for the writers, especially of things, the performing arts like Calypso and so on, you need a little bit of the literature to understand. You need a little critical thinking. You need the composition and the themes and so on and what you're going to do. You have to have the language, because words are the stock in trade of a writer. So you have to have the language. You have to be able to be creative. You have to see the picture and to be able to describe the picture in a way that people could see it with their own eyes. You know, that is the brilliance of a writer. And then you have to perform it. You have to do it in such a way that people get what it is that you're trying to do. So you have it in the language, you have it in the music, and you have it in the performance. You have people like Ricky, who have done off-Broadway shows and so on. Look at the quality of the presentation that Ricky has done and continues to do. You could see all of these things being drawn together in one. He is able to impart to his actors, because he's the director, what it is he wants. They are able to capture it and to bring it out. And let me say here, hats off to your cast, Ricky. And I thought that Jay McDonald, for me, that was my star. But not that I've taken anything away from anybody else. But I mean, I thought and it's how you wrote it. The little interjections of humor in the thing, you know, always made it very, very, just as it was getting kind of, you're cringing there because you know you're hitting you on those who be in bad behavior, and then Jay threw in a little something and have everybody laughing and so on. So it kind of break the tension. It was brilliant. I mean, it's brilliantly conceived and written.
Thank you.
And produced. You know, and that production is one I would commend to anybody. You need to go and to see it. But Ricky, I want to say to you, in particular, congratulations. You continue to do it. You continue to successfully navigate in this little area that we have here. You know how it could be, but you ain't pulling one side or the next. You come with your professionalism and you approach the job in that kind of way, and you have been able to achieve, and I want to commend that play to everybody. You should go out and see it. But as I say,
yeah, thank you, Roy.
You know, probably the men on a Friday.
Yeah, it's back on the 1st of September.
They shouldn't go together.
Yeah.
No.
But we're repeating it on the 1st of September. Yeah, Saturday the 1st. But going back to that, what you were saying about the artists and stuff, you know, the problem with some of the artists in Grenada, they all think they're stars. They think the young ones that don't need any help, right? They want to go from zero to hero in 1 year, you know? And that's the problem. Yeah, as I said to them, you have to be hungry. You have to want to take classes. You want to find, if you don't know Godfrey's a man for lyrics, go call him, Mr. Godfrey, I need help, you know? Instead of it's $10 a pay an hour, you know? And I do this freeness, I keep telling, remember I tell you about this freeness thing, eh? When you give people things for free, they don't appreciate it. They take things for granted. I was telling you, when I was going to theater school quickly, I was a dishwasher in Hilton, in the Ritz-Carlton, because I know I had to pay for my singing classes. And my singing classes cost a certain amount because I was hungry to be successful and get better. right? So I used to work in a dishwashing thing and all that kind of stuff when I was a young man studying theater. So I'm trying to say to the artists in Grenada, they have to take voice classes.
Yes.
They have to take diction. They have to learn about writing, how to write songs, how to perform on the stage. But they become heroes because their friends are DJs on the radio. They go in their studio. Everybody have a laptop, is a promoter now, have a studio, right?
Yeah.
They go and they put on two things. Their friends say, let me talk about, okay, we joking girl, we're going to joke. Oh, I like that. Let me put a joking girl. Let me put that down, right? They put a joking girl. They put two beats it. They go to their friend in the studio, on the radio station, and they big it up. So I mean, all that kind of stuff, we have to educate the young ones coming up and telling them what is right. And I blame the radio stations too. If you come with that kind of crap, if I have that station, I'm not playing that.
But you see, Bricky, do they know that it is crap? They don't. Look, I sang with Lydians in Trinidad for how many years? I mean, at least 15 years while I was there. At least 15, could have been more. I was the manager of the choir for the last 5 years before I left to come back home. I never became a soloist until I did 8 years before I could before. And let me tell you, we used to perform on average 39 times a year. I'm talking about on stage. But you practicing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and when it is you're coming up with a show, you practicing every night. You understand? And music festival and all that kind of thing. And by doing it all the time, your gifts emerge, right? And you get to polish it, and you polish and you polish, and it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. It does not happen overnight. It does not. It can't. And so you have to. And the thing is about performing all the time is that you're building stamina, so the voice could stand up and get it done. No, we have here, a popular artist, a beat, and people jumping up and so on, and you feel that fella's real good. The fellas who have won, let me say, are hungry. Perhaps some of them could be a little bit more hungry and do some more. But they're so busy because, as soon as you have a hit, they're in Canada, they're in America, you don't really have time for yourself after that. Once you get a hit in Carnival, you're all over the world. But you have to make it time when you're done to get in, to do the voice training, to do the theater, to learn how to move and do those things.
But how do you stay on that level? I mean, you make a hit, they take you all over. Is that a song they're jumping up to?
That's the point. And what's no coaching?
But after that, where do you go?
Then you're gone.
You're gone for one song.
For one song. Then you're gone. But
Let me tell you. Here's a typical example. There's some fellas who had a song. What's the name of the song, boy? The whole place shell down.
Yes.
Whatever happened to them?
That was a fantastic song.
Whatever happened to them?
They're still around. They're out of karaoke.
Yeah, but what? I don't hear any of them anymore.
No, DS.
I remember that day in the stadium.
Let me tell you.
The whole stadium was rocking.
Yeah, but what happened to them now? Wait a minute. Where are they?
And we're not even sure that they copyrighted. They're not even sure that they copyrighted the song.
Listen, the point I'm getting at, once you touch something that click,
you're gone clear.
And you don't
you ain't
take
thinking about
time.
Tomorrow.
No, you don't take time off to, mold that and work on it and
I still do voice classes. I still do my singing. I still do my tapping. I still do my.
No, come by your singing Kaizo next time. Serious,
No, because if you have.
I'm a Kaizo name already.
But if you're really serious, you don't stop. I remember I had to do this. I had to sing for. We were doing the higher water production in Trinidad, and so I had to learn this area. Pat called me. I was back in Grenada. Pat called me. Pat Bishop, my choir leader, called me from Grenada. Randall, you had to come and do this. You had to come and sing that. What. So over there. So every weekend I'm in Trinidad and practicing and things. So I got to the house. Arturo tapping there, and I'm singing and I'm going and things. Here, Arturo, Randall, if you're not sweating, you're not practicing. You understand? If you're not sweating, you're not practicing, and I ain't fine. I seeing sweat. So I had to get your head in gear, get yourself organized, determine what you're going to do, and bro, I was inside there sweating in no time flat. And what happens then is that the whole practice becomes a performance, which is what you want. Because the more you do it, the more you do it, the more you do it, the muscle memory, you remember. So when you get outside it,
it's second nature to you.
It's second nature to you.
The muscles just adapt.
Right? And you have to do it. You have to put the years in.
How many performers you see warming up before a show?
Why is that?
They're shouting, they're screaming the night before.
Why is
they're
that?
partying, they're drinking, they're smoking, that whatever the case may be, and they have a show tomorrow morning, right? The next day, and their voice gone.
Nah, but you see them with that, there's a big towel around their neck. That's they're gonna do something for them.
I can guarantee you, in the next 5 to 8 years, most of those people who shouting, you see, they're gonna get nodes, something called nodes on the vocal cords. And that's when you don't use your vocal cords properly, and you just scream, and the vocal cords just rub against each other, and eventually you get little nodes. And I hear some of them boys have this husky voice.
Yeah.
They start talking like that after a while, and eventually they have an operation to take those notes off, you know. And that's what's going to happen with most of them because they don't know the proper way of breathing and training.
You know, for the first time, when you guys had Legends in Concert, Godfrey, that's when I learned about the importance of taking care of your vocal cords. Turkey was here. And Turkey was very, very defensive about being in an air-conditioned environment. Very, very defensive. Even right here in this room. It tells me that some people do pay attention.
These are the pros, these are the professionals because they know.
All right,
people don't understand what is involved.
I'll tell you what. We have about 15 minutes left. However, I also want to let our listeners know that they should be on the alert tonight. Prime Minister Keith Mitchell will be delivering his post-carnival address. And that's going to be at 8 o'clock this evening. And the GIS has extended an invitation to you to tune in to hear Dr. Mitchell talk about a successful carnival season, commending both stakeholders and spectators, and government's immediate priorities now that the festive season is over, and the imminent return of students to the classroom. Amidst news of Grenada's improved pass rate in the CXC examinations, okay? So that's going to be aired on the GIS tonight, and they've asked radio and television stations around the country to carry that. Let me take a little break here, pay some bills. We'll come on back with the mob right after this.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th anniversary diamond celebration. Take out or switch to our diamond anniversary mortgage with 0 fees and a chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get on vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and a chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, we are back on the left. Well, on the left there, Mr. Randall Robinson. Then on the right, Mr. Godfrey Augustin. And then this little gentleman just popping in here out of nowhere, Ricardo Keynes Douglas. Folks, you got yourself about 13 minutes. Highlights of Carnival 2018. Who's going first?
Godfrey?
You know, I think it wasn't a bad one. However, I always like to stress the importance of getting to the next level. I think the work that's there to be done It's not an impossible task. I don't think it's a difficult task either. Also want to say to the Ministry of Culture that they need to look around and engage persons who are knowledgeable about different aspects of the arts and culture. Get them involved. It's not about an individual. It is about our culture, our national event. Let's get persons involved. Don't alienate people because of their differing opinions or whatever it is. We all have different opinions, but there are a lot of things that we do agree on. If there's one thing we agree on, all of us, is that we're Grenadians. So that should be the foundation for us to move from. So engage persons. I know there are a lot of persons there who are willing to help in whatever way they can, and you might be surprised. Smallest bit of assistance can make a world of difference. So there's work to be done. Let's come together and let us get it done. Let us make Grenada's carnival one of the biggest and the best, because it is not an impossible task.
I want to fall in with you, Godfrey, and agree totally. I think our artists have to understand what they represent, what and who they represent, and we, as the people of Grenada, must also recognize that and push our artists in a positive way, promote them, make them feel special. We have to do that, because all of us benefit when we do that. We encourage our artists, and by doing so, you help them to become better at it. And all of us must take some sort of ownership of the culture, and especially the carnival product, that product which is Spice Mass. All of us have to take ownership of it. If it is to go anywhere, we can't be just going off and doing our own thing. It just does not work that way. For those proponents of the art form, you all have to spend some time with self-development. You have to understand that where you are, you could be so much further. There is a lot that you have to learn. There is a lot that you have to do. To the powers that be, we need music teachers. Get music teachers. We want dance teachers. Get dance teachers. There are programs in UWI in Trinidad for carnival arts. We have young people who are interested in that. Send them. Get the scholarships. Find some way to send them. It's not only UWI, it might concentrate on carnival. But there are other programs in other countries that talk to arts and performing arts and all of that, and the visual arts, that our gifted youngsters can, they can get a scholarship and go there. All of that benefits what we have to do. It enhances what we do as the culture, right? To the persons who are locally based and have the wherewithal to be able to help, at this point in time, get them on board. Let us do something now for the culture, for our people, for these youngsters who have so much talent. Yes? Now, what are we doing about the Steel Band Association, which attracts so many young people? And the music and the discipline of the art that helps them across the board in all that they're doing. We must pay some attention to that. I agree. The arts will save us. And look, folks, let us start to have some respect for our artists, the art form, our Calypsonians in particular. They have been with us. They have been the griots. They have been the persons who spoke for us over the years. Let's not know out of political whatever, cast them aside, diminish them and their work. To the Calypsonians, Where is your voice? We have so many social issues that we have to deal with in this country, whether it's social and political issues that we must deal with. How many of you chose to take on topics that could kind of land you in trouble, so to speak, that are controversial, that spoke to the people and the condition of our people at this point in time? What are we hiding from? What are we afraid of? Let us deal with the issues. Yes, let us deal with the issues. And folks, we have to pay for it. Our artists have to live. And the persons who can help them also have to live. I agree with Ricky. This freeness is going to kill us. Yes, I tell people all the time, when my wife always on the case, I never pay for music and things so. But people have to pay for it. I'm getting a wrap up, so I'm passing it over to Ricky to take it from here. But let us pay the kind of attention that we need to the arts.
Yeah, and I agree, associating myself with things both of you said. So there's no point repeating it. It's just fantastic what Godfrey said and what Randall said. It's just perfect. I mean, I enjoyed the carnival. My favorite, Groovy and Pan, I really enjoyed that. I went to the March Gras, I enjoyed it as well. So overall, crime, there was very little crime. The only time somebody said there was movement in a crowd where people started to run, and she thought it was a crime, but really was somebody who was drunk and urinating. So then she realized, it's just somebody. No, but everybody started running from that. But that was the only kind of friction I saw. And when you go to like a Soca Monarch and you see thousands of, 8,000-9,000 people, and everybody shoulder to shoulder, and everybody was feeling free. They weren't no worried about bottle pelting. It was really a nice, safe feeling. But my thing is, I think that Spice Mars Corporation or Cultural Foundation, I think they have to take Carnival back into their hands and really decide what they want to do with Spice Mars, because it's an incredible product, and they have to just control it and say that if they have one juve, they have to put their foot down and forget about politics and all that kind of stuff, because as Godfrey and Randall was saying, the product is the most important thing and culture is the most important thing right now. And I think we have a great product, and it's just, as you say, make it work. And have people take the square pegs out of the round holes. Please, I beg you, take the square pegs out of the round holes. Mediocrity can survive very well because people just accept it. But when people see good things, they know what is good. So let's just not live on mediocrity and take the mediocrity out, and let's start striving for the top. And before I go, my play is going to be on. I'm repeating the play Kidnap Love on the Saturday, the 1st of September at the Trade Center. So come down and see it, 8 o'clock.
That bill's in the mail.
Yes.
Okay. Hey guys, listen. Just before we pull the plug here, I want you to remain seated. First of all, Ricky, you're the new kid on the block. You've only shown up this morning, despite the threat, which I joined you in last year, that we're not going to do this again.
But I was listening to the programs with them.
Yeah,
the past two.
They've been great.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. Yeah.
And to you, Randall, and you, Godfrey, indispensable. I can't find too many other words to describe the contribution that you guys have made. My only prayer is that those who are in a position to bring about change will actually listen to what you guys have been saying. I don't want to see this go by the wayside anymore. We've just been yakking for years, year after year. Like Ricky calls it, same old, same old. Nothing happens. So guys, please, listen to what these gentlemen have been saying. And to you out there at home, on Facebook, YouTube, wherever, I say please, apply some pressure. Let the authorities and the organizers and the promoters know that you guys have taste. You have taste. You need to be respected. When you go to a show, you don't expect to sit there for 6 hours more than you really need to sit. Let the authorities know that. Let them know. Please, for God's sakes, and for ours as a country, okay? Let me take a little break here, and then We'll come back and wrap it up.
Hubbard's Agency, located on Kiran James Boulevard, St. George, carries a wide range of quality brands such as Dutch Lady Milk, Danny Chicken Luncheon Meat and Salami, Welch's Juices, Chief Seasonings and Snacks, Rinse Laundry Detergent, Bop, and so much more. For a quality wholesale experience, visit our store today. Our experienced and friendly staff awaits you. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmeg, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Like a diamond, we continue to shine. 85 years, we stood the test of time. Our financial brilliance is all for you. 85 years of making dreams come true.
Grenada, join Core Bank's 85th Anniversary Diamond Celebration. Take out or switch to our Diamond Anniversary Mortgage with zero fees and the chance to win $18,500 for a home project. Or get on vehicle loan, 100% financing on new vehicles and the chance to win $8,500. Or get a quick approval loan up to $20,000. Special terms and conditions apply. Check in branch and online for details.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, just about time to pull the curtain down. It's 12 noon on the button, as always, every Sunday morning, just before we say goodbye. We have one parting passage from the Holy Scriptures for you. And today, it comes to you from the book of Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 to 7. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to everyone. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. That passage, Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 to 7. Okay? Now, just want to give you a little heads up, folks. Within the next week, I want you to keep your big floppy ears wide open. You know, we've been in a transition process here since the cessation of operations by Chime. And Grenada Broadcast is going to be making some real announcements in the next 2 weeks, a week and a half or so, okay? Of course, a lot of that is contingent upon the level of internet service that we received. Here's a comment, by the way, on Facebook from somebody in Switzerland. He says, if something is not done with this stupidness, what's happening with that internet in Grenada and with Wi-Fi, we will be doomed. It's true, folks. We're going through a real rotten time with our internet service here. And you know what? Our regulatory commission, the regulatory body, diddly squat. Diddly squat. So, on that note, I'm extending an invitation to you to join me tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for your news update. And then this program is going to be rebroadcast this evening at 6 o'clock right here on Grenada Broadcast. It's also going to be up on the Facebook Live in about 15 minutes or so. God bless you, my dear friends, and by His grace, we'll get together again next Sunday.